Hi, and welcome to Cooking with Beef, and I'm your host, Joshua Glenn. Today we're going to take a twist on a traditional Italian dish of lasagna, but instead of beef and marinara sauce, we're going to be using a white Alfredo sauce and chicken, and we're also going to do a twist on that with a vegetarian version. Let's get cooking.
So we're going to start off with some of our prep work, and we have some ricotta cheese here that we're going to add an egg to, and we're just going to mix that in really good. You won't even notice or taste the egg. It's just really good for binding so that your lasagna will stick together and you'll get those beautiful layers that you see at restaurants. And once you get it all mixed, it should look something like this. So we are boiling our pasta noodles as well. You could use the no-bake ones if you want to. I prefer the traditional of boiling them till they're al dente. And we're also doing our chicken. You could use a rotisserie chicken or leftover chicken if you wanted to. So we're going to start off, we have some butter melted in our saucepan here, and we're adding in our flour, and we're just making a simple roux. And you don't want to cook it too long. We're not making like a gumbo where we need it dark or anything like that. This is really more for the thickening agent and not so much the flavor. So we're just going to cook out the raw flour taste. And then we're going to add in some garlic here, and again, give that a good mix. We don't want the garlic to burn or anything, so we're only going to do it for just a little bit until it kind of becomes aromatic. We're going to add in our half and half. You could use whole milk here or heavy cream if you wanted to. I prefer a half and half. It's going to make it a little bit lighter and not be as heavy, but feel free to use what you have on hand. And we're just going to give this a good stir, make sure that we get all the flour and everything mixed in really good. We don't want any clumps in our sauce. We want it to be really smooth and delicious. Once everything is nice and incorporated and you've come to a bubble, we're going to add in our low-fat cream cheese here. You could use regular cream cheese if you want to. You could leave out the cheese altogether if you wanted to. I just like the flavor that it adds, and we're just going to get that good and melted into our sauce. Once your cream cheese is melted, we're going to add our Parmesan cheese and then our spinach. This is kind of like the last thing you're going to do because we're just going to stir it until the spinach kind of wilts. You don't want it to completely cook, but you want to kind of get some of that water out of it. And we're just going to give that a good stir in this, and you're going to notice that your sauce is really thick, but don't be alarmed. If you need to, you could add in some chicken stock or some more heavy cream or half and half. Let's get building. So we have a half pan here. On your recipe card that you'll see, it's going to be a 4x4 pan, but it's going to be the same way no matter what size you're doing. You're going to take a little bit of your sauce and you're going to kind of spread it around the bottom. This is going to keep your noodles from sticking. You could also spray in some Pam or some baking spray in the bottom and then do your sauce if you wanted to. And then we're just going to begin to layer. So you're going to take your lasagna noodles and kind of layer them however you want. You could do them crosswise, lengthwise. I'm starting lengthwise, and then I realized that crosswise would have been easier, so I finish off doing crosswise. But again, we're just making a layer here, and it's going to be kind of repetitive. In what you're doing, you're going to start off and you're just going to keep layering. And the great thing with lasagna is that you can add anything that you want to it, really, and kind of make it your own recipe. So once all your noodles are down, we're going to add in our ricotta cheese. Make sure this is egg mixture that I've also added some Italian seasoning to. Again, you could add more seasonings or take out the Italian seasoning, really up to you. You want it to be more basil-y, add some basil. And we're just going to kind of spread that around. This is the other part of our glue to kind of keep everything together. And once you have it pretty spread around, we're going to take some of our chicken and we're just going to spread this around. Again, if you wanted to use sausage or hamburger meat or really anything meat-wise that you wanted to, feel free to do so. We're also adding some fresh diced Roma tomatoes. Again, if you don't like them, leave them out. I think it adds a nice brightness and freshness to it. We're going to add a little bit more Parmesan cheese. This is a very cheesy dish. And then we're going to top it off with some more of our sauce with the spinach in it. And once you get that kind of all spread around, we are going to go back in and add more noodles. So once you get to your top layer, or however thick you want to make your lasagna, we're just going to add sauce to the top of the noodles and kind of give that a good spread around. Make sure, normally you want to leave a little bit of space between your noodles and the top of the pan so you don't bubble over. And we're just going to give that a good spread, and then we're going to top it with some mozzarella cheese. And I think that I forgot in earlier steps to show that I did put mozzarella inside of it. So starting with some Parmesan cheese, then we're going to add our mozzarella. I'm using a low-fat skim milk mozzarella. Again, your preference, your choice on what you want to use here. I did add this into the layers throughout. So the only difference with our vegetarian and our meat lasagna is kind of the same flavor profiles and everything. But instead of the chicken, I've sauteed some zucchini, some onion, red bell pepper, and some mushrooms. And I've just seasoned those with the same seasoning that I put in everything else, Italian season and basil and garlic. And just gave those a good saute to where they got a nice caramelized flavor. And we're gonna layer it the same way. You don't have to worry about salting it because you're using a lot of Parmesan, and that's gonna give good salt to your food. So bake it in a 400-degree oven for about 20 to 25 minutes until it is bubbly and beginning to brown, and you're ready to eat after letting it sit for about 15 to 20 minutes. If you want to make this ahead of time, you can freeze it. Just don't bake it. Skip that layer, and then you will take about an hour to cook it from frozen.
Thanks for tuning in. Remember to follow us on Facebook at Birmingham AIDS Outreach or on our website at baobhm.org. Bye.